southwest monsoon. It comes from the south and then traveling towards the east, northeast, and then it rebound back to this area. And these are the primary two moisture regions which cause the precipitation in this area. In Uttarakhand, it is almost 60% rainfall that is caused by this um, southwest monsoon, and rest 40% from the western disturbance. 80% this southwest monsoon, and 20% um, because of the western disturbance. If we we cut across the Himalaya and we follow a river, if we make a profile along a particular river, for example, Alaknanda, or for example, Bhagirathi Ganga, so what we see this is the profile of the Himalaya, right from the south, and after Indo-Gangetic plain, there is Shivalik, and the Shivaliks are separated from the Indo-Gangetic plain by Himalayan frontal fault, and then after Shivaliks are separated from the another comparatively higher ranges, that is that is separated by the main boundary thrust, and then after lesser Himalaya is further, it is separated from the northern side, it is separated by the main central thrust from the higher Himalaya, and then after higher Himalayas again in the northern side, they are separated from the south, the Tibetan detachment thrust, Trans Himadri fault, and from the Trans Himalaya, and then Tibetan plateau, and so on. So it in the north. If you draw the rainfall distribution along this profile, so we find two major highs of high rainfalls. One is at the junction of the lesser and Shivaliks, lesser Himalaya and Shivaliks along the MCT zone, we find a major high rainfall zone here, and the another one is MCT, and the junction of MCT and lesser Himalaya region. These are two southern fronts where we receive focused rainfall almost across along this Himalayan belt. Now, because of this rainfall in the Shivaliks, you will see plenty of huge drainage of the rain-fed rivers and rain-fed nalas, and because of the same, the another front is MCT, along the MCT, you will get again very lush green forest and huge waterfalls and huge drainage because of the water availability due to rains. And in the lesser Himalaya, it is comparatively a densely populated region where the villages are located on a very delicately, very carefully chosen slopes and ridges, and even the area is fragile, but even then the population, the villages are there, and the population is quite in the Himalayan region. This is the most densely populated region, the lesser Himalaya. These the settlements are also in the higher Himalaya also, and they are on the moraines, on the older either the landslide zones or the on the moraines. And you will see, even this is the Dronagiri 600 meters elevation, and
your sound is interrupting, Satiji.
of the moraines. This is the wisdom which are developed in the centuries when they are residing in these terrains actually. And then after just above it, there are high land meadows. They are alpine meadows. They are bugyal. They are called. these grasslands are there. And furthermore, if you reach further higher in the higher region, you will find that these are the snow-clad mountains, and these are the snow-clad mountains. After crossing this snow-clad mountains, this is the region of what we call Trans-Himalayan region, where there is less or no precipitation in the summers and very less precipitation in the winters. Because in this region, even the western disturbances, they are less active. Their strength, they are not so strong in this region. I'm talking about the region. In the north of the Uttarakhand, I'm talking about. What what actually what actually Now with this background, I will briefly discuss the climate change and the related phenomenon and what their impact is on the Himalaya. The, the Himalaya, the Earth's most important and vulnerable water.
Satiji, we cannot hear you. Hello. Are you there?
I think there's a problem with his network.
Yeah. Let me call him.
At the evolution of the precipitation reveals an increasing trend over the Himalaya during summer. Hello.
Satiji,
Uh,
there was some interruption because we could not hear you for a couple of minutes.
oh, why
So
it is so? I don't.
I think there were some issues of internet.
Now it
That
is
is why.
okay.
I think now it is fine. Yeah. Now it is
Okay.
fine. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So, and the another thing is that the evolution of the precipitation reveals an increasing trend over the Himalaya during summer, associated with an increase in wet extremes and daily intensity, and a decrease in the number of rainy days. So the overall trend is increasing trend of the precipitation, whereas the number of dry days are also increasing. What does it mean? It means the number of extreme rainfall events is increasing. The another thing which is very and most of the people who are sitting here, who are among the audience, they know that almost all the 15,000 glaciers in the Himalayas are shrinking, except a few. For example, this Karakoram anomaly, we will not discuss much about this. The fragility of the terrain and increasing trend of the climate extremes cause severe problems in the terms of slope failures, flash floods, globs, and avalanches. These are the things which are related to climate change and its impact on the Himalaya actually. Now, let us come to the topic, the Kedarnath tragedy of 2030. But actually, what happens that I have already told her there are two moisture regimes which are active generally in this area. One is the winter western disturbances, and the another is monsoon, southwest monsoon, summer monsoon, which are generally active here. And some sometimes this southwest monsoon that not only comes from the Bay of Bengal, but it also comes from the Arabian Sea. And sometimes these very few cases, in very few events or very rare events, all the three moisture regimes, they work together. They come simultaneously and it becomes the triple junction. But generally, it doesn't occur in that way. Here in 2013, what happens? What happened? This has happened during the mid-June, 16 to 17 June, when this area this area observed the very acute low pressure zone, Because of that, all the moistures which were otherwise active in these three regimes, that rust, that reached, or that was siphoned by that low pressure zone. And here that is why here occurred enormously high precipitation during the mid June. And this was the satellite picture of that day, or those 2 days, the couple of days, when there was huge uh, cloud segregation in this area. And uh, this is the rainfall data of the 2 days, 16th and 17th of the June, at Srinagar, which is some 65 kilometers south of the Kedarnath. And it is around 360 70 350 60 millimeters uh, within the 24 hours, which is actually highest in the recorded history of this region on the 16th and 17th. Because of this, now what happened because of this? The first major flood pulse was occurred on 16th June and caused due to extreme excessive rainfall, and it is wiped out a very small township, some south kilometer before the Kedarnath, and that is called Rambada. It was Rambada was completely scrapped out. No sign of Rambada is there now. On 17th also the another outburst of this lake, what is Chorabari lake, that caused tremendous damage in the downslope sides. And another thing is the peculiar thing with this is that in the downstream, Sonpriyag and Sitapur were the two regions where the major sediment which came from the Kedarnath regions, that was accommodated here, and less sediment came downwards. Otherwise, the damage would have been much more higher in the downstream. Now, the question is that was it a rare phenomenon in terms of extent of the cover region? I will say yes, because we have studied the flood behavior of the past flood history of these rivers, and we did not find any single event which occurred simultaneously in all the rivers in last 1000 years. But here, this was the event because of which the river from Kali in the east to Satluj in the west, all the 14, 15 rivers were simultaneously flooded. The Kedarnath tragedy, though the name is the Kedarnath tragedy, but it was not the Kedarnath which observed the tragedy. It was the entire belt of 500-600 kilometers where the simultaneously the flood occurred in all the rivers. The timing of the monsoon in this region, generally the monsoon comes around 21st June to 24th, 25th June. So it was 1 week before. The timing was pre-shifted. The temporal shifting of the this monsoon is that is also one of the peculiar things. Third thing is that changing course of the monsoon. Because of this acute low pressure zone, the monsoon, which was otherwise in the normal course in the west in the Bay of Bengal, and it had to go towards the northeast, and then after rebounding from there, then it had to come this region. Because of this low pressure zone, directly from the Bay of Bengal, the moisture rushed towards this area, and you would have seen the pictures of that year 2013, that northeast area observed the less in fact drought on that in that year, actually, because the monsoon changed its course, actually. Now it was, I have already said that because of this low pressure zone, one moisture came from the Bay of Bengal, another from Arabian Sea, and this western disturbance was already there. So this was a triple junction of the moisture, which was a rare phenomenon. So is it a sign of climate change? Well, with one single event, nobody can project this thing, or nobody can predict whether it was a climate change. But certainly, if you will observe the behavior of the climate in last, or the weathers in every year in last 20 years, we will observe that there is a considerable shifting in temporal and spatial shifting of the monsoons. We have observed in 2022 it was, in 2021 it was 2010 it was, 2013 it was. So it is shifting in September. In 2010 it was September, in 2021 it was October, in 2000 late October, in 2022 it was mid October, when this area observed maximum rainfall. So it is certainly some change is being observed here, though conclusively nobody can will say that these are the phenomenon of climate change, because it needs a very long term study. Anyways, now the event, this was the Chorawari Lake, which was burst on the 17th, and this is the region where already the glacier and glacial borne sediments are in the valleys, and they all were mobilized downwards. Because of that, this was the scene in the premises of the temple Kedarnath, and these are the infrastructures, and this was the damage occurred. These are some pictures, and what was the size of the flood? You will see. This is the Rudraprayag, and this Rudraprayag is a confluence of the Mandakini, the river coming from Kedarnath, and the Alaknanda, the river coming from Badrinath. And on that very day of 17th June 2013, this was the scene. This temple, which is visible here, this was flooded. This was about to submerge in the flood actually, and because of this, some 10,000 people think, even some people believe that the death toll may be much more higher than 10,000. The rover, this is the estimation that the road damaged were around 8,000 kilometers. The 200 bridges were damaged or washed away, and 30 hydropower projects in Uttarakhand they were damaged very badly. Some 5,000 villages were affected, and livelihood affected by this event was people. Some economists or some people working on the social science, they say that about 20 to 25 lakh people, their livelihood was affected by this event. And I will tell you the story that, because there is a village called Lamgondi. It is very near to Guptakasi, and most of the male men from that village, they work in Kedarnath during the yatra season, and most of them were they were killed, they were dead, and that is why that village became the village of widows. That was the situation over there. I think I am audible still. I am audible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
बीच बीच में शांतनु आप बताते रहिएगा.
Okay.
So again, this Rudraprayag, where I was talking about that temple, the confluence of this was the bridge, and during the flood it was like this, and this bridge was also wiped out, and now this was I was talking about the Rambada, which is some 7 kilometers in the downslope side, and before the on the way to Kedarnath. This Rambada was there, and now the second photograph is that this is the now where there is no sign of any settlement over there. So the whole Rambada was scrapped out. This was the Sitapur, where there was a parking, and see, there are 5, 6, 7 hairpin bands were there, and the whole area. Now they remain only single hairpin band. So this is the aggradation in the rivers because of the sediment brought during that flood. And this is the area Sitapur I was talking about, which accommodated most of the sediments here. And this was that parking which was just one day before, on 15th June it was there. And now after just after that it was wiped out. No sign of, and the date 15 June is written wrongly here. It is it was 18th of June. These are the landslide developed during that event. That is not in the. It is not in Mandakini Valley. It is another stream that is coming, Madmeshwar or Kali Ganga, from in the western side of the Mandakini, and huge landslide scar is developed during that event. And these are the infrastructure. Roads are damaged, the settlements in the downstream. This is Agastmuni, some 50 kilometer downstream. That is also most of the part of the Agastmuni that was damaged. And this is again, this is Rampur, Tilwada. These are the damaged settlements. And this is Rishikesh, and this was at the river bank. The Shivaji was this idol of the Shivaji was placed there, and it was wiped out because of this event. These are the damages in the Srinagar area. This SSB, IIT, NIT, these all are damaged. Now, this I have already told that unexpected weather condition. It was sudden melting of the. Now, the another peculiar thing with that year was, um, suppose there otherwise what happens that there is established model that long and extended winters may result into the weak southwest monsoon. But during 2012 and 13, in the winters, right from December 2012 to 13 May up to 2013 May, there was continuously several spells of snowfall there. Because of that, all the peaks, all the hills surrounding the Kedarnath and adjoining areas, they were snow clad. And the another event occurred that this monsoon rain, that monsoon was shifted 1 week earlier, and because of that high precipitation, this snow was which was on the peaks, that was also melted speedily, and because of that, a huge volume of water was generated. The why the damage was so large? Because the shrine during those days was it was overcrowded. And it is now a very conclusive finding of the high power committee constituted by the Supreme Court after this Kedarnath tragedy, that was constituted to know the extent and the the uh, the role of these dams on the calamity. And it was found that dams had got aggravated the disaster up to great extent. Actually, dams in the region, they were was also the culprits. And we know that unplanned and safe settlements constructions, that is everywhere in the regions. And roads, another thing is, in Uttarakhand was came into existence in 2000 year 2000. And from 2000 to 2013, about 24,000 kilometer roads, extra roads were constructed. Before 2000, it was only 8,000 kilometer roads in Uttarakhand. But during from 2000 to 2013, the this number went crossed the 23,000 or 24,000. So some 16,000 extra kilometer roads were constructed. And in Uttarakhand, or in this region, the roads are constructed with a very primitive technology, where JCB's driver is the engineer, and he decides the alignment. He excavate this muck, the slope, and he scraped the slopes and he dumped down in the slopes the muck. And because of this haphazard disposal of the muck, the size of the flood during the 17th or 16th June of 2013, that size was in the water size was in the discharge size was enhanced many times, and the density of the water also enhanced many times. Because of that, the damage was aggravated many times. All other factors are also less considered, that deforestation and drainage management is very poor almost in all the townships in the hills. This drainage management is very poor. Most of the natural drainages are either choked or they are narrowed down or completely blocked. All and in the process of so-called speedy development, the traditional wisdom is ignored up to many extent, up to great extent. Now the same situation also occurred in the though this was not the extreme rainfall event, the Rishiganga tragedy of 7th February 2021. In a dry day, because though there was a rainfall, there was a snowfall 3 days, 4 days back, but on that event's day, on 7th February in the morning, there was a sudden flash flood in one of the streams of the Dholi Ganga, that is Rishi Ganga. Rishi Ganga is one of the stream that is called Rothigad. A sudden flood came from that side, and that came in the morning and wiped out two hydropower projects, killing more than 200 people. That here also, the situation is that because of the hydropower projects, this event became a disaster. This was a this was the slope in the this was the right side slope of the Rotigard, where a major chunk of the rocks that is broke down, that fell down, and because of that, a huge flood occurred in this valley, and that caused damage in the Rishiganga, and then after Rishiganga hydropower projects, and then in the downstream, another project was that Tapoban hydropower project of NTPC that was also damaged. So these are the pictures. Our colleague Naresh Rana, he was the first who reached there, and because of this flood, one temporary damming also occurred in the Rishi Ganga. Actually, that blocked that muck blocked this river. Now, if you go to the in the history, in 1893 there was a similar event of a big suddenly this dam came into existence after the huge landslide in this catchment. Because of that, for 1 year the whole river was blocked, and this was the dam because of that landslide that occurred there. And in 2014, the a major part of this dam that was broken and that breached out, causing severe flood in the downstream, and the Chamoli, in Nandprayag, Karnaprayag, Gauchar, Rudraprayag, Srinagar, and up to Rishikesh, Haridwar, and Rudki. But because of the precise measurement during that period, it was the recorded human loss was zero. There was no human loss, though the huge. So this shows that how the disaster management, they during the Britishers, how they managed this, despite the meager facilities and meager technological advancement. There was a no technology. Only telephone was there. Telephone was invented in 1851, and during this period of 40 or 45 years, that reached in India also. And the telephone line was right from Raiwala and Haridwar to Birahi, where this dam was there. The landslide in this landline was installed, and precise measurements was communicated every hour to Raiwala. And because of that, they projected they predicted that which time this dam will be burst and breached out. Because of that, there was a very less damage as far as the human lives are concerned. And after a small part of that lake was still remained, and during the 1930s, two famous Himalayan geologists, Professor Haim and Professor Ganser, also visited there. And this is a very monumental photograph. This is um, very expressive photograph of that. And those both are, uh, I think they are taking bath, or I think the student is eating fish from that lake, which was again breached out in the 1970, and that caused severe damage in the downstream. The second event, after second event, this lake was completely wiped out, and now the situation at that lake site is this. It was in 2008, and now it is completely light field, and the boys are children are playing cricket over. So this shows that how the rate of the change of the terrain in this fragile region is. This is the sensitivity, how quickly this situation changes in this area, in the Himalaya. What makes this Himalayan terrain very vulnerable due to warming? Because of one thing is that which is underlined by the two hydropower committees, the two high power committees constituted by Supreme Court. One is after 2013 disaster, and another is after when this project was initiated, the Hydro Chardham project of road widening. They, these both committees, they recommended that in the higher Himalayan region, because of the glacial recession, a huge amount of sediments, moraines, they are longitudinally, they are situated in the valleys, which are very loose, and any event of extreme rainfall, they are mobilized downwards, and because of that, huge damage in the downstream occurs, and that causes severe damage to hydropower projects mainly. Other infrastructure are also damaged. And 2021, 7th February 2021 event of Rishiganga is also of the same type, that because that brought the huge sediments which is left by the glaciers in the valleys. In 2013 also, from two dozen, some 24, 25 hydropower projects are also damaged. That is also damaged because of these, largely because of these sediment, which were the glacial bed sediment in nature. Now, these are the inferences not from the hydropower, the high power committee, but scientists also published the work which indicates that these hydropower projects are, and they are in danger because of these moraines in the valleys. The global warming induced melting and thawing of the cryosphere are severely altering to volume and timing of the water supplied from high mountain Asia, adversely affecting downstream food and energy systems that are relied on by billions of the people. Hydropower projects in the Himalaya are vulnerable to the severity and the pace of the change in the process, including glacial retreat and detachment, permafrost thaw and associated landslides, rock ice avalanches, debris flows, and outburst floods from glacial lakes and landslide dam lakes. The result is large amount of sediments being mobilized that can fill up reservoirs, cause dam cause dam failure and degrade power turbines, and that can further cause damage in the downstreams. And this is the paper that was published in Nature Geoscience. Now, another thing with these hydropower projects is that they dispose the muck generated during the construction of the hydropower projects along the river valleys, which in the in any event of the extreme rainfall that that scraps out this, that wiped out this dumped muck. And in 2013, what occurred in Srinagar, what we observed, that some 5 lakh cubic meter muck was deposited along the that was disposed along the river in the Srinagar, where there is a hydropower project in the upstream, and these are the sites where it was dumped. And during that event of 2013 flood event, this was wiped out, and that is deposited by the flood in the downstream, causing severe damage to the settlements in downstream the Srinagar, downslope, down of the Srinagar and downside of the Srinagar. And that is proven by the scientific studies we have published. And that publication was made an affidavit in the Supreme Court. Because of that, the Supreme Court, honorable Supreme Court, they posed a very heavy fine to the this dam construction company. These are other dam projects. There are several dam projects which were destroyed into 2013 event. This is Pandukesar Dam, or this Vishnughat Dam. This was damaged in 2013 again. Now, see what happens. We are talking about the people. We are uh, talking about the developmental things and development. We need development. The people need development. The infrastructure they need roads, they need hospitals, schools, all these things. But the sensitivity of the terrain, the fragility of the terrain is never acknowledged in the process of so-called development. And because of that, you will see, I have already talked about Rambada. This was a paleo channel, river channel of the Mandakini River, and the first construction along across the paleo channel. At the top, you will see Garhwal Mandal Vikas Nigam, which is a government organization. The first illegal construction was made by government. The second uh, picture is SSB Srinagar Academy. This academy was constructed on the flood plan of 1970 flood, 1917 flood, 70s flood. So who is the culprit? The government starts encroachment. The government starts illegal construction first, and after that, the whole the people from the local people, they also construct the same way. That is one of the major reasons of the violation of the norms, basic norms. And see, this is Yamunotri. This is another disaster in making. You will see this Yamuna River. The stream is almost narrowed in Yamunotri. The same situation was also in Kedarnath. See a picture of 1892 GSI's picture. It was the Kedarnath was merely 3 or 4 huts were there, 5, 6 huts were there, and in 2008 this was the situation of the Kedarnath. And now you will go, you will see much more construction after 2013. The huge construction was uh, done there. And that is another danger. Not, they have not, during the process of construction, they have not acknowledged, they have not considered the sensitivity, the fragility of that terrain. That is why I'm emphasizing that we have not learned any lesson from this event. And see, this is the Gangotri. See, this is all in the on landslide debris. The Gangotri is situated. There is a stream diverted in the upslope sides of the Gangotri. and in any extreme rainfall event, this may cause some very big damage in the Gangotri as well. So these are the situation of the shrines everywhere in our in Uttarakhand. Actually. Now I have already told you that this road construction has caused. This is one of the very big villain for as far as the disasters of this region are concerned. This is the way of construction in the road construction in the hills. Some now the situation is that we have in last 22 23 years we have constructed 42 to 43,000 kilometer roads, extra roads. In hills it is a established fact that in hills for construction of 1 kilometer road that generates 30 to 60,000 cubic meter muck. So itself the road alone they have generated some 200 to 300 crore cubic meter muck which was disposed along the valleys on the slopes, which caused severe damage to biodiversity, severe damage to aquatic diversity, severe damage to streams flow. And that is why there is a one-to-one match after Uttarakhand separate state coming into existence. After that there is a sudden increase in the events of the flash floods in this region. Now what are those lessons which we have not learned? Actually we have seen Joshimath, the fate of Joshimath, and many more townships are yet to face the same situation sooner or later. That is Gopishwar, that is Pauri, Munsiari, Dharchula, Bhatwadi, Gaurikund, Nainital. So many townships are they are on the threat of severe landslides and subsidence. Carrying capacity of the terrains that is not being done or not being considered. There should be some methodology to assess the carrying capacity of the settlements, carrying capacity of the terrains, and a number should be fixed, because otherwise this uncontrolled development will cause a big damage in near future. This is very unplanned development. See, for example, this Char Ram project. This year you will see, you will observe everywhere there is a traffic jam everywhere in the hills after these road widening projects. Because the wide roads, their argument was that we will invite by widening this road, we are inviting more traffic, and more traffic needs more parking. You don't have even a single township in the hills where you have a parking which can accommodate 2000, 1000, or 4000, 400, yeah, 500, 600 vehicles at a place. So if you are inviting traffic, huge traffic, where they will be accommodated. That is why all the roads have become the this parking now, and everywhere there is a traffic jam. So this is a nonsense actually. If you are constructing, widening the roads, you should have planned for the parking. That is not planned at all. Now they are talking about that. Okay, we will find some possibilities of the underground parking. Means edit. They will make some edits. I don't know how they will construct and where they will construct. But this is the situation. Less lack of basic needs. जो basic there are for example hospitals, for example for example schools, for examples electrification, all these things. These basic facilities are not addressed in that way in this region. Because of that, out migration is prevailing, increasing every year. And these roads which are constructed in the hills, they are now they became the transportation, the flow line of the people from the hills to the plains. There is a huge rate of migration, and every year that is increasing. And poor rehabilitation. We have some 3,000 or more than 3,000 villages where according to specialist, which was specialist committees, which was constituted after disasters in the hills in every year, they have uh, recommended that these villages should be shifted urgently, immediately, because of someday in near future they that otherwise they will be in a severe threat, they will face severe disaster. But no government is sensitive. Every year this is the alas story of not listening these recommendations, not considering these recommendations. And dams, several experts and several committees, including high power committees, they say that at least in the high Himalaya, where there is a huge piles of moraines in the valleys, and they are mobilized, causing damage to the hydropower projects. Either they are installed or they are under construction in the hills, higher Himalayan regions. At least in the higher Himalayan region, there should be a protocol that no dams should be constructed in the higher Himalaya, in the north of the MCT. These are the things which would have learned after 2013 calamity or 2021 calamity, or the smaller sized calamities every year in this region. But no government, no one is ready to listen these things. These are the things. Thank you for you people. Thank you for your attention. I hope I have touched so many things, I think. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It was indeed a very enjoyable talk. And I mean, it's an incredible amount of information and very impressive photographs. So with that, let us open this floor for question and answer. So please raise your hand if you want to ask a question to Professor Sati, and then we can continue this session.
Yes, Ankonda.
Good afternoon, Professor Sati.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
This was a nice talk, and you showed Naresh Rana, who is my colleague, just sitting in the next room. So I heard a lot about these places from Naresh when I discussed with him. And also, I think about a year back, we also heard from my friend Naveen Jual, who was, I think, this Chardham road expansion committee, which you mentioned. So what has been is there any change that you have seen after the resignation and of some of the members of the committee, and very strong words sent to the government that this is going to ruin a lot of things? Has there been any dent in the system? No.
Yes, there is change, but it is negative change. Now they feel comfortable if these two people who were really concerned, who raised the geology in that way, now they are not there, so they are comfortable. And the government tilted this whole scenario into the defense needs. They say that these all roads are, though all the roads, they are not going to the border, but they argued in the Supreme Court that we need these roads at any cost because of the defense purpose, because of the China show.
Because you mentioned about the shrines and things, pilgrimage is of course one of the issues, but even without shrines, people, in places where people only go for tourism, there also you see this kind of rush. In the summertime, you cannot even enter, you cannot go beyond Dehradun. Up to Mussoorie, there is a jam from almost up from the Dehradun road. Similar thing in Nainital, you cannot enter Nainital. So everywhere in Nainital, you go, because we go often for Humayun University and other places. So we see even all the hillsides are almost now concrete jungles. So
yes,
absolutely, and where Nainital is also very well known, half of the Nainital lake is, or 1/4 is at least a landslide field. So there can be even bigger landslides anytime, but it is very unfortunate that still the greed of and all this, of the people continuously building up. Even people are building up, just like you mentioned, even the local people are building their, small hutments and things right inside the small rivulets, which can be washed out any day. That is a big problem. So, what do you think? What can be your suggestion about the possible, because you have to live in this system. So, because you have worked for a long time, what could be the possible way out? At least partly from this.
One thing is that now the time has come to decide the carrying capacity of the terrain, but valleys of the terrains of the townships of these shrine centers, and the government Uttarakhand, if they are heavily dependent on the tourism, they should find some other destinations. Uttarakhand is all along the Uttarakhand. There are several good places. There are beautiful places. They are disseminated. They are distributed all from Kali valleys to Yamuna Tons valleys. But because of this shrine tourism, this Tirthatam sort of things, other destinations are not being developed in that way. Neither government has a concept, nor nobody, nor the planners, nor the bureaucrats, they are thinking of that. If this distribution of this huge flux which is coming in form of the tourists in this area, if this is diverted some, and there are so many places which are still unexplored, so I think that may be one of the remedy. The another thing is that despite all these things, though several people want to come here, you have to acknowledge, you have to understand the sensitivity of the terrain, the capacity of the terrain. You cannot invite infinite number of the people. You cannot invite them. You have to make some checks and balances, some restrictions.
Even in the hills, many places we are seeing now there are 4-story, 5-story buildings being built up. So all the construction concept is wrong. How can you build a 4-story flat kind of building in a fragile mountainous terrain? This is too much.
Yes, and this is not only the climatic events. The bigger threat is the earthquake. The earthquake scientists say that it's a central seismic gap, and big earthquake, great earthquake is overdue here in this region. Because of even then, nobody in the system is ready to listen. That is the iron. That is the very sad story of this region.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anupamda. Thank you.
Any further questions? More questions from students, young researchers?
मेरे ख्याल से सुनाई नहीं दिया ज्यादा,
नहीं
लोगों को
सर,
सुनाई नहीं दिया, वॉइस में प्रॉब्लम थी शायद कुछ।
नहीं, पहले तो थोड़ा था बट बाद में ठीक हो गया सर, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं था, इट वाज प्रीटी ओके। Okay, if there are no further questions, then let us thank Professor Sati with a round of applause.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much, sir, for your time today.
Shantanu had a question, I think. He was raising hand.
Who?
Shantanu.
No, I was
Sumit.
Shantanu, please.
No. I just wanted to discuss with Satiji that one of the sorrow part is the hill people are migrating from the hill to the plains. That you said in the last slide.
Yes, sir, because of a single way to earn money in the hills, they have not developed in last 23-24 years. They have not developed say people say that we have a great potential of horticulture, we have a great potential of organic farming, and we have a great potential of even medicinal plants, herbs, and all these things. But these sectors are not considered, or they are not developed government has not taken in enough consideration of these sectors. Because of that, lack of occupations, lack of the education facilities, lack of the hospital facilities. You will not believe if
But you have now recently built a university even in Joshimath.
that is
Oh, yes.
that
Yes.
is another thing. But the thing what is needed is first thing is health. The health facilities should be enhanced. The huge work is needed in the field of the health sector. Actually, no hospital is there. If some yatri in Badrinath, if he suffers any heart attack, from Badrinath to Rishikesh, we don't have even a single hospital which can manage that heart patient. This is the sad story. And governments are not working on that. Infrastructure, up to infrastructure, like huge buildings, they are constructing like you have said, that you have rightly said, that in the very remote area they have installed, or they have uh, made some universities also. They made there. But this is a shortcut. The main thing is to create the jobs, to create the health facilities where people can live in their
Do you think
these things are not addressed in that way.
do you
And
think
schools
that
are being
you are
closed every year. Hundreds of government schools are being closed because of the lack of the number of students.
I think these are going in every state sometimes. I think government schools I'm talking about. But what about your railway tracks?
Actually,
Because that will generate some jobs.
Railway,
Yeah.
that is another story that also needs a separate presentation. Actually, this railway has changed the whole geography of the region. And people say that you are anti-development people. We are not that. Actually, we are advocating. We are the
sustainable development.
talking about the logical, the sensitive development. We are talking about the considering the sensitivity of the terrain, fragility of the terrain. We also need development, but that development which is terrain friendly, which acknowledges the sensitivity of the terrain, but that is not going on here. That's the biggest problem.
Yeah, Anupamda, you were talking something?
No, I
You were
was just saying
something.
that he was correct that the more facilities you are building, it may have different implications. Facilities are needed in remote villages for food grains and health and other things. That is true. But what is happening here is that by widening up the road, you are just inviting vehicular tourists, and that is creating more trouble for that. Instead of developing the infrastructure, other infrastructure, only road infrastructure is actually inviting more traffic, more tourists, and the tourists are always after comfort, so they are building hotels with ACs and all these things. So that is actually it's a feedback cycle. So every time this is creating the same problem.
Another thing is, this railway station, the last railway station is in Karnaprayag. So after you reach there in Karnaprayag, where these people will go? And you need a bus adda there again. But there is no place for that.
No.
So these
That is
are
that is the thing which is actually which should be considered, but it is not there. And now they are talking about the railway up to Pipalkoti,
okay.
despite knowing the fact that the whole terrain in the from Karnataka to Badrinath and beyond, the whole slopes are very sensitive. They are very fragile. There is a huge landslide every year. But even then, I don't. This is a very big thing that now nobody government. Otherwise, government, we have seen that government used to consider these factors, but for past several years, I think 6, 7, 8 years, government has left this idea to consider the environment, to consider the terrains and all these things. We have to develop a huge infrastructure for no reason.
Okay, Satyji, thank you very much. Yes,
Okay.
Any more queries from anybody, or else over to Jyotirmoy?
Satiji,
जी
Oh yes.
it's a nice lecture.
अरे निरंजन भाई आप तो
नहीं, नहीं, ठीक है. Now the thing is that nature has its own way of healing. However you disturb it, nature has its own way of healing things. It might be in a cycle, maybe some few years, or something like that. From a metastable to again a stable equilibrium, all geomorphic equilibriums are achieved through time. So, considering that these activities go on for another decade, you cannot widen roads more than what you have widened today. You cannot build more rail tracks than you are building today. So this has to end somewhere. And considering that another 10 years, maybe such things happen. So what, according to your opinion, nature will heal in, and what time it would take to heal things to a stable state?
Niranjan bhai, you are very right that nature has its own way to heal its things. But here, I will give one example. The road up to Badrinath, from Rishikesh to Badrinath, it was constructed some 70 years back, 70 years, 65 years back. And the landslide developed during the construction of that road construction. These landslides are still continuing. They are still active. So here the terrain is extraordinarily sensitive, and because of the we being a student of geology, we know that the Himalayan uplift process is still going on. Earthquake processes are there. Every month there is at least one tremor of the earthquake. So here is a different. There are so many processes which are going on. This all makes it a very, very complicated situation. And this road widening project has developed some 600 times more landslides in terms of numbers and in terms of size. Huge number of landslides they have developed, and some landslides, I will tell you, some landslides will remain chronic cancer on these roads. And this is not the question of road widening also. The more wide road means more traffic. Where you will accommodate this traffic, you don't have the parking in the hills. All the roads became there because of this traffic jams. So all roads became the parking. And in any this extreme event calamity, the damage will be enormous. The loss of the property, this transport means the cars, and that will be enormous. The same situation which occurred in 2013, if it occurs today, you will witness 3 times, 4 times, or 5 times more damage, more loss than 2013. This is the situation. We have not learned anything. That is a very, I should not say, being an academician, I should not say very harsh words, but this is the situation actually. Nobody is ready to do.
True.
Badrinath master plan. They have, like plowing, they have started working on that moranic terrain in Badrinath. They have started excavating in a huge number or huge amount. They are constructing it a very different way. Huge construction is going on, and even in Kedarnath, you will see the construction. My God, you will see the size of the construction there. And both the Kedarnath and Badrinath, they are on the moraines. You don't have the hard rock in the bottom. You are constructing this type of big construction, big buildings and all this thing infrastructure. That is the thing there.
How many people are with you?
Eh?
How many people are with you?
Then there are so many people actually. We are not alone.
It has to be a social movement.
Actually, there is a paradigm shift in the attitude now. Now this is the land of activists actually, and sometimes they are on the blanket refusal that no dam should be constructed. We say that okay, the norms are yours. You construct the dams. These are the questions, these are the scientific questions. You address these questions and you construct. But every dam, every project has a alas story of violating the existing norms at a very large scale. Their own norms, they have they are formulated their own norms and they are not following them.
Okay, Jyotirmoy.
Okay.
Just, I wanted to ask Professor Shoti, what is the situation in Joshimath now?
Sir, Joshimath, every day there is millimeter, centimeter widening of these cracks and subsidences. They are continuous. It is not stopped. And no event, we don't have any mechanism to stop that subsidence. The only change is that now no media is there, no government focus is there, no reports are there. You will be surprised to know that I don't know anyone among you are in that event which is associated with current science. The current science accepted our paper in February, and they sent a published proof also. Proof, they have incorrected proof, they sent it. They declared the volume. In this volume we are going to publish it. Because of the unknown reason, they suddenly sent us a mail that the editor-in-chief, they had he suggested us to hold this paper for some time. Now in the 25th June, that is published. So, no report from any government institution that is going to be published from Joshimath. This is a new sort of censorship, actually. Scientific findings people used to publish in the journals, and there is a ban in that way also. This is not good, actually.
Yeah. Sir, do you have any more queries, sir?
I just have a comment to what Nilanjan said, that nature has its way of healing. This Kedarnath disaster is a way in which nature heals itself. So a landslide is the way the nature heals itself. So the way nature heals, that may not be always very good for human beings.
This destruction is a way of healing also. This sort of destruction is a way of healing.
Yes, the landslide is an effort of regaining equilibrium.
Of course.
Yeah, geologically, it is very correct, sir.
It's
Anthropogenic, not anthropogenic reasons. Yeah.
To stabilize the slope, you have to have a landslide. Sometime. Okay. Achha, by the way, Sotiji, what about that bypass that Uttarakhand government is likely to build from Helang to Badrinath?
Helang to Badrinath, Helang to Marwadi Bridge.
Helang to Badrinath. They want this. They want to
that
bypass the
join
Joshimath.
Badrinath Road, old Badrinath Road at Marwadi Bridge, just at the bottom of the Joshimath floor.
Okay, they want to avoid the Joshimath. Right?
We don't have the other option actually. आपको देखो जोशीमठ तो सारा नीचे आ ही रहा. Joshimath is coming down. You don't have other option but to construct if you need the transport up to Badrinath and you think that people should go to Badrinath, you don't have other options. That is also one of the things. Simultaneously, you cannot say that okay, Joshimath is subsiding, no construction should be there, and at the other same time, you are saying that the road at any cost would pass through the Joshimath itself. It's not possible.
True. But that is not our moraine, I think.
No, that is a hard rock.
That is a hard rock. Yeah, that's the hard rock. Okay. Thank you, Satyajit.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Jyotirmoy, are you there? Hello, Jyotirmoy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hello. I am here only. I was just having some samosa and tea.
Okay. Don't worry. Yeah. Now it's the time to conclude, and we'll give a big round of applause to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for attending, and we will see you next time. You get the notification for the next meeting, next month's meeting soon. Thank you.
Okay.
We disconnect now.
Thank you.
Namaskar, Satiji.
Thank you. You gave me this opportunity to see these people for a long time, after a long time. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.